several devices inside, so hopefully.
We're live. Good morning. We have a very special show this morning. I'm excited to be on location with my buddy Todd, and we have Kate over here as well. She is moderating. So Todd and Kate, we're going to do a suburban front yard gardening question, live, free flow, just for fun show. Mr. Todd and his wife Candes have been doing front yard gardening for a while. I'll let him tell his story. You've probably already seen it if you follow along here on the Daddykirbs channel, because we did do some videos with him and his wife, but we're gonna just open it up and ask some gardening questions. Let me show you the background here. This is their front yard. You can see they have a beautiful space. Right now it's the end of summer, beginning of fall here in Texas. It's in transition, so it's not beautiful, full, and lush like it is in the springtime or early in the summer, but it is still a beautiful space. Todd, thank you for letting us come out to your place this morning.
Thanks for coming.
Let me get my everything. Oh, you know what? I forgot. We need a microphone. They can still hear me, but it sounds better through this.
I've already posted the links to the 2 videos.
Oh, good. Good. Okay, Kate has posted links in the chat for the videos that are relative to this space. So after the show, you can go check those out if you haven't seen those yet. Okay, I'm done fiddling, I think. Let me scoot back just a little bit. All right. So the purpose of this show, if you are here watching in replay, this is a live show. It's for community engagement, for community building, just for fun, for us to hang out. It is going to be a long episode. I have no idea what's going to be said, what's going to be done. It just happens. So thank you for joining us live or in replay. I'm excited to have you here. So there's our intro. There's our purpose. I already introduced our special guest, Todd, and our moderator, Kate, which I'll give you a glimpse of Kate every now and then. The camera really is only big enough for 2, but we'll pan it over there every once in a while. She is here. She is busy. She's doing a great job. I always appreciate what you do here, Kate.
Thanks.
And also my other moderators, We Tree Bonsai, and who else is here? Who came in? Are there any other? Those are the only moderators here this morning. I'm going to take just a quick minute to say hello to a few of you. I probably will miss some of you, but then we're going to get into doing questions and answers. So while I'm saying hello to a few people, please take this opportunity, start typing some gardening questions that you would like Todd to answer. Make them hard. Real difficult questions. Put him on the spot. All right, I'm going to scroll up to the top. See who we have here.
Guilty Gardener just got in.
Rain Country. Always nice to see you guys come in and hang out with me and to chat with each other. I love seeing the conversation that you guys have with each other, because it's part of building community and building family. Otherwise known as Family, which reminds me that if you have not yet joined the Daddykirbs Family Facebook group, you can do that. Come on over, and it's just a place where we're going to hang out. No links, no advertising, just family, just hanging out. F-A-N-I-L-Y, because that is a family, non-related people, all centered on the same content. DD Dreamer 1995, good morning. Tara Moof, good morning, hello. Brenda Duncan, good morning. Stacy Schaefer, it's good to see you guys. Kilted Gardener, thank you for joining us this morning. TK, beautiful to see all of you. Sarah, hello Sarah, good to see you. And Ronald came in. Good morning, Ronald. Sherry Fisher, good morning, Sherry. Good to see you. All right, I think I'm caught up. It's a small group so far, but I can see you trickling in. It's going to be great hanging out this morning with Todd, answering questions about gardening. So, first question, Mr. Todd, looks like my Wiesla says, tell us about the growing season and why you are front yard gardening. That's a great starter question.
Sure. Growing season, well, I guess why front yard gardening? Because that's the only space that we have that has a suitable amount of sunlight. We've got pretty deep shade in the back, and so that helps keep our house cooler and provides many benefits for the backyard. And so we decided to just bring it up front. My wife and I worked on a plan to make the garden aesthetically pleasing, and we carved out some space, and this is where we garden. Although we don't really even have a lot of sunlight up here, because we have some trees up front that we will eventually be taking out. It seems to work, even with 6 to 7 hours of sunlight we have. We have a couple of different sections of the garden. One is shadier than the other, and so we grow different varieties in each of those spaces. The growing season in South Texas, you can grow all year long, and so we've come through kind of our tomato. Well, we've got a tomato plant growing now. It's getting ready to put on some fruit, but we've come through most of that spring season crops. But interestingly enough, we've never planted squash in the fall. We have now planted some squash this year to see how it's doing. But we've also got broccoli planted right now. We pull most everything in when it starts getting hot, which here in Texas, this part of Texas is really July time frame. But in July, you can start planting, in late July anyway, you can start planting tomatoes if you want to have a fall tomato garden. Yeah, and so we haven't done a lot of that this year, but we will start planting. We've got broccoli planted now, some Brussels sprouts. We'll start planting our greens within the next month, like lettuces and things like that. And we'll be able to grow that all the way through spring. Onions, we'll start putting in December.
You did great with onions last year.
Yeah, you know, that's. I was thinking about that last night. We planted onions earlier last year than we ever have at the first part of December, and I'm even thinking about trying them earlier than that.
In November?
Yeah,
maybe.
Yeah, because we've always waited until mid to late December, and we haven't had the best of luck. But you saw the onions that we had this year.
They were beautiful, big bundle, big bulbs. It was a really good harvest last year.
Yeah, and I think the best onions we got was from that little container, a cement container right over there, which is
that one right there.
Yeah, we pulled 20 big onions out of that little container.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
You have a super chat already.
And there's Ronald with the weekly Saturday $10 super chat. Thank you, Ronald, for being a beautiful and wonderful. Did I just call Ronald beautiful? Mm-hmm. You are. You truly are, especially when you're wearing the hat. Thank you for being a supporter of the Daddykirbs channel. What we do here, I know that you appreciate it and others appreciate it. Those super chats do help me to continue the creative efforts on the Daddykirbs farm. So thank you so much. Todd, I wanted to ask, are you planting your squash later in the year this year to just try for a different season, or are you trying to combat your the vine borer problem?
Both. We have never had great luck, especially with summer varieties here in this area, because, and oddly enough, the guy across the street does fine. But our yard seems to have a problem with vine borers.
And my farm.
Really?
Yeah. Does he use poison or anything?
No.
Do you know? He grows with no poison and actually gets a harvest?
Yes, he does. And several people around here do the same thing. And I have to think that the vine borer is just, once it gets established in an area, it must just reproduce. And I don't know anything about it, except it's a, insect from hell.
I do know that they pupate in the soil. Mm-hmm. So once they get established in the soil, which is why some people will use the beneficial nematodes, they'll put those out in the garden, and the nematode? Is that correct? Yeah. Mm-hmm. They will go in and actually destroy the larva, so that they can't pupate and they can't turn into the moth that then continues the cycle. So I've never tried that, but I know that I have a problem I have a lot of problems but I do have a problem with the vine borer. And yeah, so maybe it's just that maybe they are more local, you know, a smaller. I just assumed because they were a moth, they were flying everywhere.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. But you know, really, I was really surprised. I mean, I visited. Of course, now he does a couple of things. He does aquaponics across the street, which is very interesting. But he was growing them in the soil as well. One thing that we are going to try, and I've heard some good success with, is injecting the young plants with BT.
Right. Yeah. Somebody suggested that. Who was that? I saw.
Kilted Gardener.
Kilted Gardener said BT. Right.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people use that. I've never done it, but I know that is it a powder or a liquid? Kilted Gardener, do you know?
It's a liquid.
It is a liquid?
At least what I use is a liquid, and we've used it on our plants if we have a problem with cabbage loopers, because you know, you spray a little on, and it's a natural solution, and it's a bacteria that stops the bugs from the caterpillars from being able to digest food, and eventually they die. But with the squash, you get like a veterinarian syringe with a high gauge needle, and you inject BT into the stem.
Right, the hollow stem.
Yeah, and that's supposedly I've heard good success with that. So we're going to try that in the spring. But yes, so to answer your question, yes, we want to see how we do with late season squash, because we don't really get any in the spring. We want some, and secondly, it's the caterpillars, or the vine borers.
Vine borers, right.
Yeah, so we'll see. We planted both winter and summer squash just a little late, actually, about a month ago, and it's about, you know, they're about 6 inches high.
Are you do you ever intentionally plant solid stemmed squash to help combat that in a more natural way, so that you don't have the hollow vine that is very attractive to the vine borer?
We do, but even those, everybody says that they don't get affected, but ours are affected by something in a very similar way.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So you're talking about like flying saucer and winter squashes and stuff
yeah,
like that?
I have a hard time remembering all the names, but there are some even summer squashes that are solid stem. Well, I know butternut, but that is that summer
it's
or
a winter?
That's a winter. And then also there's one that starts with a T, has a long name.
Oh, that Italian.
Yeah. It's a long
trumpet. Or
I can't remember the name of it.
We did really well with those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Otis wants to know what BT is.
Yes. Well, there you go. Wanda Price just put up a Bacillus thuringiensis.
Yeah, thuringiensis, I think.
Thuringiensis. So I'm glad that Wanda put that up, because I have no idea. I knew it was a Candace, are you joining us?
I was looking for the coffee.
Oh, sorry. Here you go.
We have all the coffee. Does anyone have luck with Diatomaceous Earth? I have used Diatomaceous Earth on a lot of things, and I will tell you, for me, as a insect barrier, sometimes it works, but I haven't had a whole lot of luck using it to really eliminate an insect problem. Do you have any special stories there?
I haven't used Diatomaceous Earth a lot, but from my understanding of it, it is only effective on hard-shelled insects.
Right, because it affects their exoskeleton.
Yeah, so I don't think it would work on something like caterpillars. But even, I have used it for pill bugs, and I haven't had any success. Oh,
it doesn't do anything on pill bugs. I don't care what anyone says. Diatomaceous Earth is like a play sandbox for pill bugs. They love it. It doesn't seem to do anything to them at all.
I saw some pill bugs actually having it for breakfast one morning in a little bowl. It was weird, but
I don't doubt it. The pill bugs are they don't seem to be affected by very much at all. I was telling you, one of the things that I changed in my garden that reduced the pill bug population, and it's weird, and I have no idea if it's just a coincidence or it really did do a lot of work, was switching the leaf mulch from the soft leaves like pecan leaves to the hard coarse leaves of the live oak tree. Is this live oak?
No, this is
cedar elm.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, the cedar elm is, it's got the little flowers on it. The bees love the cedar elm.
I've heard some buzzing around.
Oh man, a lot of times you stand under these trees. It might be just a little past that right now, but when the flowers are just starting, you can stand under here and it's just a solid hum. It's really cool. All right, I think I distracted myself and forgot what I was talking about, but that happens.
DE.
Yes, diatomaceous earth. We use it a lot of times just to sprinkle around the base of things. So it's kind of a barrier for some insects, but pill bugs don't care.
Somebody said DE kills soft-bodied insects that come into contact with it. That's interesting.
Yeah, that is
I sprinkle it
interesting.
on the leaves of my plants.
What's that?
I sprinkle it on the leaves of my plants. I use a rose duster.
Oh, okay.
And just dust the whole garden, and it seems to keep things down. The only problem is I have to do it when the bees are not out, because DE will kill the bees.
Yeah, true.
Huh.
You do have to be careful with any type of insect control that you're applying, because in many cases it will not only kill those insects that you don't want, but it will kill some of those that you do want. So any beneficial insect like your praying mantis and your bees, and you just need to be very cautious about how you're spreading things around your garden. Even something as mild, I guess, as DE, because DE is not a poison. It actually affects the I didn't know it killed soft-bodied insects, but I know that it affects the hard-bodied, the exoskeletons, by getting up under there and irritating the bodies until the insect dies.
Yeah, you made a good point, Blake. One thing I want to clarify is that when we use BT for caterpillars, we try and use it very sporadically or
Sparingly.
Sparingly, thank you, because we don't want to kill all the caterpillars, because we want butterflies and other beneficials. So we just use it when we have a problem that can't be taken care of any other way. And so it works really well if you use it very localized.
Right. Yeah, that should be the case with any method of control. Very localized. Understand what I would say poison. Understand what the product does, so that you can then use it only where it's needed, and you're not just doing a widespread application. Let's see, I think I have missed. Kate, you need to let us know if something special pops up, okay? Because I'm missing a lot of it, because I'm trying to pay attention to Todd.
Raymond Chapin says, does anybody know a way to do away with Japanese beetles? His bugman says there's nothing that eats them.
Oh, really? Japanese beetles. You have any experience with Japanese beetles? I don't think I do.
No, you know, beetles, if they start their larval stage, their grub stage in the ground, I would think that something like beneficial nematodes would, if you get it in that stage, would be able to because that's, you know, June bugs and things like that are what we
probably breaking the cycle is more achievable than actually killing the adult. I would think, in cases like even stink bugs.
Oh,
they're horrible. I don't even know what to do about those, but there are some traps and mechanical sticky traps and different things that people use, and, you know, picking them off the tomatoes one by one and dropping them in a soapy solution to kill them or whatever. But there are some adult insects that are just very hard to manage. Now, I noticed somebody was talking about using diatomaceous earth for worm control in your livestock, and we do that actually. We put diatomaceous earth in all of our, for several purposes. We put diatomaceous earth in the cans where we store the seed and feed for our chickens and goats and horse, because that helps keep the insects out of the feed, so they're not eating the feed up and turning the whole thing into a mess. And also the diatomaceous earth that goes from the feed into the livestock is, I've read, good for helping keep their systems clear of worms. So it's sort of a natural worming method. I've even read where people will include food-grade diatomaceous earth into their diets to help keep their guts clear of parasites, worms, whatever. I haven't done that yet. You do that?
No, never have.
Kate, you eat DE?
I use DE all the time.
For your own, do you ingest it yourself?
No.
No, so but on your garden?
Yes. And on my pets, we use it rubbed into the cat fur to
yes.
get rid of fleas and
absolutely.
things of that nature.
Yep.
I put it in the food and around the birds. All of the birds do very well with the DE. It doesn't bother them at all.
You have large birds, the macaws.
I have 3 large macaws.
Oh, so do you put DE on their feathers?
No, I put it in their food.
Oh, okay.
And I put it on the bottom of the cage to keep animals and pests from crawling into the cage. Because bird cages, no matter how often you clean them, they're dirty.
Dirty, right. Yep.
Especially with big birds like that.
I have 3.
Yeah, those big birds, they got big poops, big messes. Okay, so let's see here. Rain country. I'm just trying to catch up. Every once in a while I like to catch up. And oh, where are you doing the show this morning? I see Ronald asking. This is Todd and Candes' place. This is a beautiful example of a front yard suburban garden. And that's one of the reasons I've been wanting to come over here for a while, but it's been baseball season for the last several months and their boys play, so I haven't been able to come over. But yesterday I sent a message. I said, hey Todd, what are you doing tomorrow? And he should have said, no, we're busy. But he said he had nothing going on, so we're here.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna try to catch up here. Good morning, Joey. I see you in there. Mr. Rain, Angie's Pantry. And she's talking to you, Kate. Let's see. All right, I'm just kind of scrolling through. Paul Otis, good to see you.
Paul Otis asked if Todd has had, oops, it just scrolled past, any pushback from anyone about having a front yard garden.
That is a great question. So Paul Otis, if you didn't hear Kate, was asking about trouble from the neighborhood, I guess, or pushback on having a fully landscaped, food edible garden in the front yard of this suburban neighborhood. So Mr. Todd, that's your question.
Yeah, not really, but we happen to be in a neighborhood without a homeowners association, and so I think that helps quite a bit. I think we've really had nothing but positive feedback, mostly. I mean, occasionally we will get the person who doesn't, have a great opinion of it, come by and ask questions, and you can tell that they're kind of not as keen on it as some of the others, but nobody has ever complained that we know of to the city or anything like that. And
no official complaints.
No official complaints, and I've had the city inspector over here for some other things, and he loves it, and so that helps. But not much, and we've tried to do it in a way that we were cognizant of that, and we're respecting kind of the community as a whole. We didn't want we've had somebody down the street who just put rows in their yard, which I'm perfectly fine with. I have no complaints. But it wasn't quite as camouflage as ours is. So we have, I think Blake posted a video earlier, or Kate did, of a tour he did here about a year ago. And we tried to surround the productive part of the garden with ornamentals. And so we have landscaping up front. That's all full right now, so you can hardly even see us back here in some areas. But so all of that around the front is a little, from the outside it looks a little bit better than it does from the inside, but it looks like standard landscaping.
Yeah, I think that is one of the advantages you have, is that you didn't just till up the front yard and plant a garden.
Right.
You strategically, you have the fence line and the arbor on the front. I don't know if you noticed this arbor right there, covered in what is that, passion vine?
Yeah, and grapevine.
And yeah, passion vine, grapevine, and then some beautiful, it's always hard pointing in the camera, some of these other, I can't follow my finger. Anyway, there's containers hanging on that, and the fence has roses and things in the front of it. So from the street, it looks very much just like beautiful landscaping. And then inside you have the pathways and food planted in such a way that it is even the food plants very ornamental. So that's an advantage over some of the front yard gardens that I've seen online, which, hey, a row garden can be very efficient, very productive, but it does have a different appeal compared to something that's more blended in like what you've done.
Yeah.
And scrolling again. Oh, somebody said for stink bugs and squash bugs, get a short bucket with soapy water and place under the plants and shake the plant and check the plant for egg clusters. I wouldn't have thought of shaking the plant.
No, so I know that there's squash bugs and squash vine borers. I thought those were two different things. I'm not familiar with the squash bug, what that does.
I don't think I've seen them in my garden, but I've looked them up online, and there are two distinct separate critters. And the vine borer is the demon bug. That's the one that comes from the underworld.
Yeah, literally and figuratively.
Yes, yeah. Either way, it's evil.
Just ask if you have problems with vandalism.
Oh.
No problems with vandalism. I mean,
Except for squirrels.
Except squirrels.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Here's the gardener over here.
That's the real gardener, yeah. She's the one who, she and the kids tend to the garden on a daily basis.
And I know that Candes has done a lot of the actual design and planting schedule, right?
Yeah, that was part of the, she was not really on board with the front yard garden originally, and that's how it works around here. I'll have these ideas, try and describe them to her. She has no idea what's going on in here, and says put it down on paper. And so in this case, you know, I put some things down on paper for the initial phases, and she liked it. She thought it was, you know, something we could incorporate, and not just the last thing Candes wanted was rows in the front yard, rows of garden vegetables, not roses. So that initial phase I kind of put on paper, but since then she's really been the creator of the additional spaces that we have here, and like I say, she and the boys tend to garden daily.
Well, together, you guys work beautifully together. One of the things that Angie being my wife, love about Todd and Candes is that together you guys, you have the ideas and you implement them and you complement each other beautifully. And I'm excited. We're always excited when we get to hang out with you guys, even coming over here and seeing your garden, seeing the interior of your home, which I'm not showing you. Just the way
you
that
want to see that right now.
just the way that you guys have built this home together in a very creative, unique way. It's just a really nice space, and I know that you guys do a lot of entertaining here as well, and I know that this space ends up being more than just for you. It's a blessing to a lot of people. So thank you for that.
We hope so. Yeah.
Deep
Thanks
South
for
Homestead's
the
here
words.
and said hi.
Oh hey, Deep South Homestead made it in the house. Is it Danny or Wanda?
I don't know yet.
Those couples that share usernames, you always confuse me. I see, I missed, that's Paul's question there about the pushback. Let's see. Can we have a tour of the garden? That's Brenda Duncan. We might be able to get up and move around a little bit. Let's see if we can do that here in a few minutes.
Yeah. Not a lot to look at right now. We've in the middle of spring, towards summer, it's very full. You can't hardly see cars go by. But right now it's a little sparse, but certainly the structure is still there.
Yeah, we can at least see the garden paths. At this time of year, you get to see the actual layout. At other times of the year, you can't see the garden paths at all because it's so full of produce. It really is an amazing sight.
Yeah, and if we would have known that we would be looking around, we would have picked up the socks and underwear and that kind of stuff, but we didn't.
We won't go far.
Okay.
We'll just do a little tour around this way. Really, this is basically it. Hello. There's the space back there, and then up in this corner there's space as well. So the tour really in the front yard is kind of short. All right, let's see. Somebody asked about aphids. Do you have aphid problems?
Yes. Angie said, "Thank you for the tour."
Oh,
Yeah, that was
that was the grand tour.
Yeah. Aphids, we have not had a problem with aphids unless we let our things like broccoli, cauliflower, well, mainly broccoli because we don't have much luck with cauliflower, but if we let that broccoli in particular go too long, it gets covered.
Once the plant starts getting stressed out, those creatures, those critters, like the aphids, like to take advantage of that. And basically just knock them out. I think that's nature's way of saying this plant is done.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're right.
Also, aphids are brought into the garden by ants because they want to milk the aphids. So you need to keep the ants under control. You won't have nearly the problem with aphids.
Right, yeah.
Milk
Kate
aphids.
was...
I've never tried to milk an aphid. That would be
It's a little hard to do,
It's real small. It's like
they
milk.
have smaller hands than we do.
It's like milking a bee for honey. It takes a long time. Hey, beekeepers earn their keep milking those bees.
Hey, yeah, if I could get milk from aphids, maybe we'll encourage some.
Let's see here. I am missing so much conversation because I'm just not reading everything. Home Place Journal says try neem oil on aphids. I know a lot of people have good luck with the neem oil. Another product I've read a lot about and seen a lot of videos about, but I just have never used. Have you guys used neem oil at all?
It seems like we have some on the shelf, but I don't think we have used it. We haven't needed to. And I say we haven't needed to. We don't have, some years are, so I don't know what neem oil all takes care of.
Yeah.
What everything it is used
You take a little bit of research.
Yeah, I take a little bit of research. And so there's a lot of things in the garden that we're not the best gardeners. We just garden a lot. And so we aren't the best at, okay, I've got a problem here, let me figure out what it is and then solve that problem. We a lot of times we just didn't have a good tomato year.
But you know what? One of the things that what you just said was very important, because there's a lot of people that say, I don't know how to garden. I don't know how, I can't keep up with learning all that. I don't know how to do all that. I don't know how to make the proper soil mix or the proper insect control or all those things. I don't know how, so I just won't. Yeah. What makes a great gardener is someone who just gardens. You just put the seeds in the ground, put the plants in the ground, observe that for a season, learn a little something from it, and keep gardening. That's what makes, in my opinion, a great gardener. You will, over time, learn how to be, you read that comment?
Yeah.
I saw you. You will, over time, learn how to be a good gardener, but you won't learn it if you don't actually garden. So I think you and Candace are great gardeners, because you have struggled through this for 6 years now. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so...
all you gotta do is look around and see they're wonderful gardeners.
Oh, it's amazing. You can't convince me. I don't care how humble you are. You guys can't convince me that you're not great gardeners.
I think one of the biggest problems is people plant during the season when they're not supposed to, and so they don't give their seeds a good start because they're planting out of season. They've missed the window and nothing grows or it doesn't produce because they haven't. That's
actually my problem most of the time. I missed the season. Well, we're going to do it anyway.
Yeah. Well, and I appreciate that. I was talking to somebody about you last night and how you started. They were wondering, we were at their house and they were wondering what we were doing this morning, when we mentioned you were coming over. So I showed them your channel and they were quite impressed with you. But that's really, you do that a lot. You just try something and see how it works. And carry everybody else along the journey with you, which is good for everybody.
I figure I probably have maybe 40 gardening seasons left in my life, and I'm gonna mess every one of them up, but I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it anyway, and that's just,
why not? Yeah.
It's you gotta try.
Well,
Kilted Gardener says keep journals too. That helps.
Yes, absolutely.
Huge.
Yeah,
that is really good.
Kilted Gardener suggested that keeping a gardening journal, and that is critical. That is one of those things that I have been really, really bad at. I don't do it very well. Occasionally I take notes. I know that Candace keeps pretty good notes, at least on design.
This year I started gardening journal.
Yeah,
just
that's
because we've had good harvests. Like I want to remember what I did.
Yeah.
So next time.
And we're still waiting for you to start that blog. I'm just... And I want to point out that Ronald said, what kind of security does Todd use to control poachers?
We set bear traps around the perimeter. We don't have as Candace mentioned, the only poachers we have are squirrels, and you might be surprised. I was certainly when I walked out, but I've seen 2 bucks in our front yard.
No, I saw that you had some what looked like deer damage on your fruit trees over here.
Oh, did you really?
Right there.
Okay.
Yeah.
I haven't even seen that. Normally they don't. We have parks down the street about a quarter of a mile, but we have a creek that runs in the back. And I walked out for work 2 days a couple years ago, and there was a buck.
Yeah.
In the front yard eating tomatoes, and then he ran off. So I get, all right, so we might have them coming back in.
So this is like Field of Dreams. If you build it, they will come.
They will come, yeah. Many come. One thing we have a lot of, we've been noticing, this is totally unrelated, and I was just thinking of it, was lizards are everywhere this year. Like racing lizards and wood lizards. We have several species of lizards here.
It is amazing that even though you think there's a lot of those things that are just gone, they're not here anymore, if you provide habitat, they show up.
They really do, yeah.
And I know you have several little water features and lots of a very diverse assortment of plants. You will, in time, you're only in your 6th year, I think, 5th or 6th year of this. In time, when this becomes more mature and just fills in, you're going to see a lot of wildlife that your neighbors won't. Your immediate neighbors will, because they're going to be spilling over, but a lot of the neighborhood, they're going to be surprised if you tell them that you have certain lizards or snakes or birds. You're going to probably start seeing different species of birds show up as well, because you're providing a special little ecosystem here that they're looking for, but that's just not here in most cases.
We've had some California carpenter bees.
Oh, nice.
Like a gold yellow one and then pure black ones, and they love the Turk's cap.
Nice. So more bumblebees. Those are not something that we see a lot of. All right.
To answer the question on poachers, really, we would have no problem if somebody was taking food out of the garden. I would see that as a compliment almost.
Right.
Because a lot of times, we're not going to post our address.
Don't come take his food.
But really, if somebody is taking food, that's great. That's better than taking, stealing a candy bar from the store. If you need food, if you need vegetables, just take them. Yeah. And that's no problem. We sometimes,
again, not a personal invite to come steal his food.
Yeah. but sometimes we have like cucumbers this year where, Candace canned up probably 25 jars of pickles.
Wow. That's a great harvest.
Just off of, the plants that we have up on the front fences.
Wow.
So we 4 or 5 plants, and that's just the way it went this year. Some years we have very few cucumbers for some reason, but this year we had a lot.
That's amazing. I noticed several people were asking about, maybe using the guns to shoot the squirrels, or jokingly the poachers, but being out here, being that this is in the city, I don't imagine that would be smiled upon. Or maybe you do. All right, so never mind the gun comment. Let's scroll on.
We do take care of some pests with like pellet guns.
Pellet guns, yeah.
And I have broke out the 22 on a possum, but my dog got to it first.
Ah, right. So you didn't have to pop the cap.
No, I didn't. And
put up bird netting around the tomato cages, and that keeps the squirrels out.
That's true. Yeah, that's a good point.
So if you can't hear Candace over here, she puts up bird netting around the tomatoes and things to keep the squirrels and the birds out of when it's in fruiting season. I'm trying to scroll through. I think I'm way behind. Hey, we're 40 minutes in. I'm going to take a little break from the gardening questions, and I'm going to give a little shout out to my Patreon patrons. This is a small group of people that have decided to support the Daddykirbs Farm channel financially every month. Many of them give $3 to $5 a month, and that money is goes directly into my PayPal account every month. And what that has allowed me to do is to have some resources available when I need things like microphones and cameras and stands, tripods and lights. All of those things have been supported by my Patreon patrons. Even yesterday, I was editing video. By the way, if you didn't see the beekeeping video from yesterday, go check that out after the live show. But while I was editing that video, I realized that I am nearly out of hard drive space, and I try to keep all the old video because sometimes I want to go back to that, and I just want to keep it for archive purposes, but I'm running out of hard drive space. And I was able to go on to an online site that takes PayPal and select the hard drive that I want and pay for it, and I didn't even have to get Mama's permission because that's from the Patreon money and it's not part of the family budget. So thank you to my patrons who support me like that every month. Not everybody has to, but that small amount of money every month does help me continue the creative efforts here on the farm. I would also like to invite you guys, once again, if you haven't heard of it or haven't seen it, if you are a fan of the Daddykirbs channel and the Daddykirbs content, you can come join the family group on Facebook. This is a group that is dedicated to growing in relationship. There's no links. I'm not even posted my own content in that group. It's just a place to build community and build family. That is an invitation to anyone that wants to become more intimate with the group of people that like the Daddykirbs Farm channel. It's not all about me. It really is about every story, because I truly believe that everyone has a story and every story counts. I want to learn who you are as well as share who I am. So when you get into that group, you can share pictures of your garden, share stories of your livestock, of your pets, whatever you feel like you need to do that is relative to the content that we produce. And yeah, just build community. So come on over to that. There should be a link after the show. I'll place a link in the comments below the video when it's in replay. Maybe there's a link. Do you have that link right now, Kate, to put in the comments?
For which?
The Daddykirbs family group.
It's already up there.
It's already in there. All right. So yeah, Weetree and Kate are both posting links to those things, to the Patreon, if you want to become a supporter, a financial supporter of the Daddykirbs channel, and also the Facebook group, the family group, where you can become a part of the family. And I'm saying family. If you just came in, it really is with an N, because a family word, I made this word. I'm kind of proud of it. I made this word up. This is a group of people, non-related biologically, but they are all centered on the same. They're like-minded people centered on the same content, and the content that we're centered on is this homesteading, gardening, livestock, healthy living, connected life that I like to represent on my channel. All right, trying to get caught up here. I did also want to mention thank you to Xavier Wee for contacting me and giving me your address so I can send your hat. By the way, Mr. Todd is sporting the Daddykirbs hat this morning. And Ronald has posted a few of his pictures online wearing his hat. If you do have a hat and you post it, a selfie or a picture in your garden with you wearing your hat, use the hashtag DaddykirbsFamily with an N, because eventually I want to do a contest using all of those pictures. I don't know exactly what that's going to look like yet, but go ahead and do that. So also, oh, okay, Xavier Wee, thank you. I hope to get your hat sent out soon. 2011 Marine Mom, I got to get your hat, and I don't have your contact information. So if you're watching this even now or later in replay, send me a message so that I can get your hat out to you.
Okay. Okay. So
we have another question.
What's the question?
Phyllis White wants to know, what does Todd recommend as an attractive vegetable so they don't offend the HOA?
don't offend the HOA. Man, HOAs, I haven't had to deal with HOAs, but they can be in a easily offended group, I understand.
Eggplant is beautiful.
Eggplant is beautiful, and really any, I don't know where you're located, but if you're in an area that you can garden in well, I guess anywhere, because you're going to have your own season for this, but greens are very attractive. Lettuces, kale, things like dinosaur kale are beautiful plants. Any greens, I wouldn't recommend really something that's like collards, because those get really big. But cabbage is a beautiful plant, both green and purple. Any lettuces, gosh, yeah, there's some beautiful lettuces
and
out
herbs like basils. I mean,
yeah.
they are. I plant basil in my garden mostly because I just like seeing it and smelling it. It's gorgeous.
Yeah, you're right. Basil is beautiful, and of course rosemary. That's a staple. Nobody can complain about
rosemary makes a great bush.
Yeah,
a hedge even. Yeah.
And Stacy says carrots make a great edging because of that leafy, pretty.
That is. They're very fern-like, and you don't see the actual food growing at all.
Right.
Yeah. Somebody asked, I saw how much property we're on, and we are on about 1/5 of an acre, but we only can use a small portion of that for the food up here. So I don't even know how big this is. Not very big.
Yeah, I noticed Home Place Journal says peppers. They really are a beautiful plant too.
Yeah, they are. We have pepper plants growing right behind us.
Oh, look, right back here.
And then back over there as well.
There's a few peppers. I can't figure out where I'm pointing.
Yeah.
Back here. And chard.
Oh, chard is,
chard is beautiful.
Very, very beautiful.
Rain Country says calendula, nasturtiums, feverfew, catnip, lavender.
I love nasturtiums.
Yeah, all of those are great choices. Almost any plant, I think probably those that are not as ornamental are tomatoes. They're generally not very attractive.
Squash are very imposing, plants. If they do well, they'll get really big and big leaves, so they kind of stand out.
Pretty much any kind of squash can just take a space and turn it into just a big green leafy.
Exactly. Yeah.
And it's not really attractive.
Cucumbers, same thing. They'll take over. But of course, any container fruit trees and things like that would be, or even in the ground. I say container because that's where we have all of ours for the most part. But herbs, I tell you, we started with herbs, and that was a nice herb garden is very, very attractive.
Absolutely.
I can't imagine somebody complaining about, an herb garden.
Herbs are not only attractive, but they smell so good when you walk by and you brush them, and they just, the aroma.
I have to say, it's really one thing that you get people who come over who have never, our kids have been, they have friends who've been coming over, and they had no idea what some of these plants smelled like or look like when they're growing in the ground. And it's really to kind of spread that wonder to even adults. Oh, that's what broccoli looks like.
Yeah,
I'm teaching my mother
really
what herbs smell like and taste like. She's not used them. She grew up in Boston. So.
Yeah, there is something very special about giving people an environment, a place to connect with nature in a way, in nature, food nature, or just animal nature, giving them space to experience something that we typically in our normal culture is very disconnected. And to have space where people can come in and understand what basil looks like and smells like, and how the bees love to gather on the flowers, or what chard is. Most people don't even know what chard is.
They think it's rhubarb.
What's that?
Everybody thinks it's rhubarb.
Yeah, it does look similar to rhubarb. But having something that you can see, touch, smell, and even taste in the garden is a very special space. That's what I try to do on my farm when people come visit. Yeah, sometimes my wife laughs at me because people will come to a yard sale, and I'll end up giving them a farm tour and sharing gardening tips or even produce from the garden with people who show up at a yard sale. But
we do the same thing.
Yeah,
it's really brings community together.
It really does. It really does.
Liv gave you another super chat.
Oh, great. Good morning, Liv. Thank you so much for being a regular super chatter. You guys are truly... Who's that?
Sorry about that.
Please silence your cell phones.
You know, Candes has people stop by very frequently, and I've even been around, you know, sometimes when it happens, but she's met so many people who just stop and go, what do you guys got going on in there?
Yeah, exactly.
You know, and, you know, come in and share. She shares greens with the lady down the street, who then shares what she's growing with us, and it really is it's a ministry, we believe, as well.
I believe that, yeah. Good. I see what appears to be a bumblebee buzzing around your lemon tree.
Oh yeah, it's producing flowers right now.
Is this one's lemon right here, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Is that deer damage on the branches that I see there?
The plum or?
This one right here in the yellow-green pot?
Is that Meyer?
Meyer.
lemon?
On the left side, there's a lot of bare stripped branches, and it looks like it might be from a browsing ruminant.
Yeah, right there.
That's a new branch. Mine get that way when they get new. Right
Yeah,
there,
right there, the one you just put your hand on.
Yeah,
No, it's been bald for a while.
Oh, okay.
It's just, yeah.
I was telling about the deer we've seen in the yard, and so I thought that might be deer damage.
Maybe just from here, it looks like it's been stripped off by a browsing.
It's been bare for a while.
Okay. All right, let me see what's going on here. We are 51 minutes in. This has been a great hour. Thank you.
Been fun.
It's been fun.
Owen Crumbaugh says he loves his channel and thank you for teaching how to do kombucha.
Oh, yeah. A lot of people have found my channel through the kombucha video. I have been told by at least 3 people, probably double that, write an ebook about kombucha. Share all your tips and tricks in an ebook, and they would purchase it. I really believe that I need to listen to that, but I just haven't had the chance to get that done. Thank you for showing up, and thank you for using that video as a way to get started on doing your own kombucha. Let's see here. Man, I missed so much in the conversation this morning, but it's been so much fun hanging out, Todd. Let's see if there's any last-minute gardening questions. We have, I like to go about an hour. We have about 8 minutes left. So if you have special questions for Todd and Candes, maybe we can get Candes to join us here in the picture. I think she likes to be behind the camera most of the time, but she can't always be, like, right here. Hey, Candes!
Wee Tree wants to know if you've had any flooding issues, Todd.
We haven't had any flooding issues. No, we do back up to a floodplain, but we haven't had any flood. We have pretty good drainage in our city, and I think if we could do it a little bit differently, and I'm not even sure how. Blake knows a lot about permaculture and how to keep water on your property and things like that. We probably have taken that in consideration when designing it. But we've made some changes, like in the backyard, where we used to have a lot of runoff. We put in steps that just keep the water there. Slow it down, and it has helped tremendously.
Yep.
So we've tried to incorporate that into different areas, just slowing the water down a little bit.
The key to keeping water from being destructive is slowing it down. And whenever you have water, you do have to be careful though, because when you have all these foundations up close to each other, you can't store a lot of water in the ground, because then you're going to upset the balance, especially here where we have a lot of clay soil. So you have to be very mindful of that. But slowing the water down, even if you're not trapping it and storing it, what that allows for is that you're stopping the erosion. You're not losing all of those nutrients that you've worked hard to build through mulching and whatever else. So just providing a gentle landscape with lots of barriers on contour that slow that water down and divert it. You know, eventually it's going to go off into the drainage ditch, but some of it will soak in, and you're also not going to be losing those nutrients that are skimmed off the top. When the rain comes in real heavy, and just flows right into the draining ditch. So you've done a good thing in the backyard by providing those barriers to slow that down.
Well, it's really important. You know, Texas, this part of Texas is, as you well know, and people who live here, we don't get many gentle rains.
Right.
You know, just over several days. We love them when we get them, but most of the time we get, especially spring and fall, we get
hard and fast.
Hard and fast, thunder, violent, you know, storms that you throw an inch to 2 inches down in no time at all. And so it's hard to keep that on your property and from doing destructive things to your property.
Yeah, oh yeah. That hard and fast rain, those are really something. If it rained 5 inches over the course of 3 days, that would be wonderful. But generally we get 5 inches in a few hours or an hour. Sometimes it dumps 4 or 5 inches in an hour. It comes down so hard and so violently that if you don't have a system in place to slow that down, your topsoil and your mulch and your chickens get swept away. Not really the chickens, but everything gets swept away so fast. And yeah, so here in the cities where they've designed the drainage ditches, Live Oak's done a really good job of
it is.
The drainage ditch behind their house back here, the green space that includes the drainage ditch, is really deep and really wide. So they've accommodated a lot of water. That's what they need to do. There are certain parts of San Antonio that hasn't done that well, and they flood. But this part, they've done a pretty good job of that.
Yeah, it all flows down into a big community lake.
Yeah, exactly.
So, you know,
Wheat Tree Garden wants to know how much of your food is homegrown.
There you go. What percentage of Todd and Candace's food comes from the garden?
Not a whole lot. You know, I wish more did, but we have a goal. If we can eat out of our garden every day, we're doing well.
Even a little bit.
Even a little bit.
Yep.
So, you know, if we have Swiss chard as a side, or you know, cut up tomatoes or pickles or whatever we have, onions. If we're using something out of our garden every day, we feel like we're being successful with gardening. And it's not really, it doesn't save money. Any gardener knows that unless you are really, really good at it, it's not a big money saver.
Right.
You can get cheap vegetables, you know, but the quality is there. And there's something about just using something that you've grown.
Absolutely. Well, you're getting the full benefit of what nature has to offer, where in the store they have to, a lot of times, have to pick it early, cover it in a preservative or wrap it in plastic, put it in refrigeration, ship it for however many miles, and by the time it gets to you, it's several days or weeks old and possibly covered in some sort of a growth inhibitor chemical or whatever. And it's just, when it comes out of the garden, it's fresh and full of nature. Yeah. All of those beneficial bacteria that are on the plant, you get. I mean, that's how we were intended to eat.
And smoothies are a good way, I think, to do that.
Yeah.
For breakfast, because we can come out and pick so many different varieties. You know, from Swiss chard to kale to mint, and all different kinds of herbs and whatever other greens we have, and put it in the smoothie. And there's a lot of nutrients that are fresh picked at the height of their nutritional value, whatever that is. They're good for you.
Yes, I'm especially impressed with how you guys have managed this garden, not only in its design but in keeping it producing most of the year. You guys tend to have something going on at times when my garden this year has been really, really bad in the Daddykirbs garden because of the special circumstances that we've had with Luke, and we just haven't had time to stay in the garden. There's the challenges with Luke and the challenges with having the horse and trying to get the barn and all that done, but it could be a better example. But you guys have been a beautiful example of keeping something going pretty much year-round, and I'm impressed with that.
Thank you.
So it's been 59 minutes and 16 seconds. I think it's about time to wrap this up. You have been, I'm getting choked up. You've been a great guest. Kate, thank you so much for being here. And hey, Candace, thanks for being here.
Yeah.
So it is truly wonderful. I hope to do occasionally live shows like this. One of the benefits of doing a live show here is that their Wi-Fi is way better than mine, and we haven't glitched at all. It's been a pretty good show as far as network speed. So thank you for letting me jump on your Wi-Fi.
Yeah, no problem. We shut every other Wi-Fi device off when you came over. So
what are the kids doing?
It's a good question. Yeah, they went back to sleep.
It's kind of quiet in there.
Exactly. No telling.
Thank you so much. It's been a wonderful episode. It is right then.
Glitched.
It glitched.